Hello viewers, let me discuss about that working principle of the DC generator. So in case of we know the DC generator means when the DC machine acts as a generator which will be convert mechanical energy into the electrical energy, means which will be take input as the mechanical energy and convert electrical energy here. So which it will be generate the electrical energy here. Okay, how it will be generating mechanical to electrical energy, that is nothing but the basic principle of the DC generator. So here simply you take the principle of DC generator is nothing but the electromagnetic induction. Electromagnetic induction. Okay. So electromagnetic induction means which will be based on the Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. Electromagnetic induction. What is the Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction? When the flux linked with the conductor changes, then the amount of EMF will be generated. When flux linked with the conductor changes, then the amount of EMF will be generated. That amount of EMF will be given by E equal to N into d phi by dt. N equal to N into d phi by dt. We know d phi by dt is nothing but the time rate of change of the flux, which will be linked with the number of turns, that is conductive material. When flux linked with the conductor changes, is the amount of EMF will be induces. Okay, that is E equal to N into d phi by dt. d phi by dt is nothing but the change in flux with respect to time. The change in flux with respect to time. When the flux linked with the conductor changes, EMF will be generated. And what is the type of EMF induces in case of the DC generator is dynamically induced EMF. Dynamically induced EMF. Dynamically induced EMF. Okay. So what is the meaning of dynamically induced EMF is, in this case is field is stationary. Field or flux is stationary member. And conductor is the rotating member. Conductor is nothing but the rotating member. So flux is stationary and conductor is rotating member means the type of EMF induces in this nothing but the dynamically induced EMF. And the nature of EMF induces here is nothing but the alternating in nature. That's why in construction of DC machine I explained the nature of EMF induces in the DC generator is nothing but the alternating in nature. To convert the AC to DC, we are going to using as a commutator. Okay, so commutator will be converting AC to DC, but the type of nature of EMF inducing here is alternating in nature. How we can say that is alternating in nature? Okay, how we can say that is alternating in nature? We have to discuss now. Okay, so for that one, let I am going to construct the diagram here. Okay, that is let I am going to discussing about the principle of DC generator. Let you take here diagram for the working principle of the DC generator here. For this one I am going to construct permanent magnets. Instead of electromagnets I am going to construct the permanent magnets here with north and south pole, two poles here. Okay, in this one uniform magnetic field will be there. Let you consider this is the uniform magnetic field produced by the, generally in the practical situation you have to consider the electromagnet, but I am going to taking care is permanent magnet instead of the electromagnets. Even the electromagnets also produce the magnetic field, that is stationary magnetic field here. Okay, so in this one I am going to keeping the rotating conductor here. That I am going to taking that rotating conductor. The single turn alternator I am going to consider with A, B coil sets and CD coil sets. A, B and CD coil sets here. Okay, so A, B and CD coil set I am going to consider single turn alternator. Single turn alternator means two conductors will be connected, interconnected with one end. So that will be formed the single turn alternator. Okay, or the single turn conductor. So I am going to keeping this A, B and CD coils at the different positions or the different angles. You may consider the position or the angles. Okay, that position you may consider the 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 or 9 here. Okay, so simply I am going to explain this with the different number of positions or the different number of angles here. Okay, So you may take clearly, okay, phi you may take here, okay, exactly round shape you will get, okay. So I am going to consider the two coil sets, AB and CD coil set. So first I am going to taking, okay, this complete generation I am going to explaining with the diagram also in different position how the EMF will be generating, how will be there EMF. I am going to taking in the diagram. First one I am going to take at position number 1 here. Let it consider that AB and CD coils at position number 1. If we observe what we are going to observing is at AB and CD coils at position number 1 will be, that is parallel to the field or the plane, parallel to the plane here. Okay, maybe it should perpendicular to the magnetic flux, which will be parallel to the plane. Parallel to the plane means no flux line should be cutting by the conductor. No flux line should be cutting by the conductor. So no flux line will be cutting by the conductor means according to the EMF equation equal to N into d phi by dt actually. Okay. So no flux line will be cutting by the conductor means no change in flux will be existing here. No change in flux will be existing means the change in flux value is 0 means here the EMF also 0. So that's why at position number 1 is that is nothing but the 0 degrees. At theta equal to 0 degrees, the amount of EMF will be 0. Why? Because it will be parallel to the plane, then the flux lines cutting by the conductors will be, that is AB and CD. Both the coil sets will be 0. Because no flux lines will be cutting by the conductor because it should be parallel to the plane here. Okay. So no flux line should be cutting by the conductor means change in flux value is 0 with respect to time. So that change in flux value is 0 means the amount of EMF also 0. So then at position number 1 or the position number 0, the amount of EMF value is 0. And next, when it is moving to the position number 2, then AB and CD coils, both coil sets will be cutting the small flux lines here. Okay, so which will be cutting the flux line. That will be small flux lines will be cutting by the AB conductors as well as the CD, or the AB coil set as well as the CD coil set. Both coil sets will be cutting the small flux lines. Then the flux lines cutting by the AB coil set and CD coils. What happening when the flux lines cutting by the conductor changes? Then the EMF will be induced in AB as well as the CD. Whatever the EMF induced to the AB and CD will both will be adds here. That the produced EMF generated by the AB and CD both will be adds itself. Then the amount of EMF will be small here. Why? Because only small flux lines will be cutting by the conductor. So then at position number 2 here, at position number 2 I am going to taking, that is at position number 2 means that I am going to taking at the 0 and let you taking at the 45 degrees here. You may take at the 45 degrees. So at 45 degrees, so small flux lines will be cutting by the conductor. Then the amount of EMF generated is nothing but the small amount EMF here. Because small flux lines will be cutting by the AB and CD, then the small amount of EMF will be induces. Then this EMF will be added to the CD, then that value will be small here. So then you consider here is small. Okay. Next, when it is moved to the position number 3, in these cases it should be perpendicular to the plane. Perpendicular to the plane means maximum flux line should be cutting by the conductor. Maximum flux line will be cutting by the conductor, that is AB as well as CD. So the maximum amount of EMF will be induced in the armature winding here or the conductors. Okay, AB and CD. Because maximum change in flux will be exist. Then the EMF also maximum. E maximum will be produced here. So that's why at position number 3, what happening is position number 3, the maximum amount of EMF will be inducing here. E max. So that is EMF versus positions. Let you consider the theta here. Okay. And next, when it is moving from the third position to fourth position, again small flux lines will be cutting by the conductor here. Means again small amount of EMF will be produced at position number 4 here. Okay. And again when it is moved to the position number 5, again it will be came to the parallel to the plane here. When again parallel to the plane means what here? Actually coil set like this here. But when it is moving to the position number 5, it should be coming into the opposite plane here. That is AB entered into the south pole and CD entered into the north pole. Okay, initially AB like this and CD will be like this. Okay, so then what is happening when after one half revolution, what is happening is AB entered into the south pole and CD will be entered into the north pole here. But at position number 5, what is happening here? So here again 0, because which is again parallel to the plane. Parallel to the plane means what? No flux lines will be cutting by the conductor here. Okay, so that's why you take that one as a 0. Okay. Next, when it is moving from again position number 5 to 6, again small flux lines will be cutting by the conductor here. Again small flux lines will be cutting by the conductor here. Okay. Small flux line will be cutting by the conductor means what? Again small amount of EMF will be induces. Okay. Small amount of EMF means again you take here. Remember I said when it is off revolution is completed, when it is off revolution completed, what you are observed, AB is entered to the south pole and CD will be entered into north pole. Means both the conductors or the coil sets entered into the opposite poles. Both the conductors or the coil sets entered into the opposite poles. So that's why the amount of EMF induced in the AB and CD coils will be opposite nature. That is negative EMF here. Okay. So both will be adds. Whatever the EMF induced by the AB and CD both will be added, but both will be opposite because AB entered into the opposite pole of south and CD entered into the opposite pole of north here. So that's why the amount of EMF induces in this case is again small here. That value will be negative, minus E minimum. Okay, so this is plus E minimum. When again it is moving to, let you take 5, 6, okay, 6 you may consider 7 here, or you are consider 8, if this small line neglect here, let you consider 8. When it is moving from direct 6 to 8, again it should be perpendicular to the plane. Perpendicular to the plane means maximum flux line should be cutting by the conductors. That is CD coil side conductors. This side will be AB coils, AB coil side. Okay. So here maximum flux lines again cut by the conductors here at position number 8 here. Okay. So neglect 7 because the here also small will be changes will be happen. So at position number 8 you may consider for that 6 is completed and next one is 8. Okay. At 8 again maximum amount of EMF and that maximum value will be E maximum. Minus E maximum, negative, because both the coil sets entered into the opposite poles. Okay, and next again when it is changing from 8 to 9, again small flux lines. Again small flux lines. Again when it is came to this position number 9, after 9 again it coming to the its actual position. That is at position number 1 is reaching finally. Okay, so theta you take the position here. Again 0. Again when it reaches to after 9 position, again when it is coming to the first state, that is position number 1 at 0 degrees here. Okay, so again at one position we are going to getting the 0 here. Okay, trace all the points, we get the curve here. If you take the trace the points, all the points, we are going to getting the curve. Let you consider what is the curve we are getting is sinusoidal nature we are getting here. Sinusoidal nature. Okay, if you observe this is sinusoidal. Sinusoidal means what? Alternating in nature. Alternating in nature. So that's why the amount of EMF induces in case of the DC generator is alternating in nature, and that is dynamical type. Dynamical type means what? Field is stationary and the conductors is the rotating one. So we are going to rotating this one with the prime mover. Mechanical, that is prime mover we are going to using. Turbine we are going to using to rotate that armature here. Okay. So field is the stationary and the conductor is the rotating member. So that's why we are going to calling this is the type is dynamically induced EMF and the nature will be alternating in nature. So that's why the alternating nature EMF we are going to converting to DC by using the mechanical rectifier commutator to convert AC to DC here. I think you understood. Just you remember this, these are the points should be there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you take 8, okay, no problem. At position number 1, parallel to the plane and no flux line will be cutting by the conductor, then the EMF is 0 directly. At position number 2, small flux lines will be cutting by the conductors, then small EMF will be generated, that is E minimum you take. And at position number 3, perpendicular to the plane, then maximum flux lines will be cutting by the conductor, then the amount of EMF will be maximum. And again at position number 4, minimum EMF, because minimum flux lines should be cutting by the conductors. At position number 5, again it should be parallel to the plane. Again the amount of EMF will be 0 because no flux line should be cutting by the conductor. At position number 6, again small flux line will be cutting by the conductor. So here is minimum amount of EMF will be induced, but that EMF also negative EMF. Why? Because AB coil side will be entered into the opposite polarity of south and CD entered into the opposite polarity of the north here. Both will be entered into the opposite poles. That's why amount of EMF will be induced is nothing but the negative EMF here. That is you consider as negative minimum. Again at position number 7 or 8, you take as the perpendicular to the plane. Then perpendicular to the plane means maximum flux lines will be cutting by the conductors and the maximum negative EMF will be induced. Again at position number 9, we are going to taking as minimum flux lines and the minimum amount of EMF will be induced. That is negative EMF. Again when it is after 9, we are going to reach into the rest of position. Again position number 1 we are going to get here. Initial state. Again position number 1 means, so there is parallel to the plane, then the flux lines will be, no flux lines will be cutting by the conductor and no EMF will be generated. So that is again 0 here. If you trace all these points, we are going to getting the sinusoidal nature. Sinusoidal nature, that is the AC EMF we are going to generating. So, but in the DC generator, we have to generate the DC EMF. To convert the AC to DC, we are going to using the mechanical rectifier, that is nothing but the commutator. Okay, commutator is a mechanical rectifier to convert AC to DC here. Okay. And you may get, we can find out the direction of EMF in case of the DC machine is, we are going to using the Fleming right hand rule. Okay, Fleming right hand rule. Okay, Fleming right hand rule means, let's you take, so these are the Fleming right hand rule. Okay, I'm going to taking the Fleming right hand rule. Okay, just you stretch out the fingers. Just you stretch out the fingers, 3 fingers named as thumbnail, forefinger and middle finger. Stretch out 3 fingers, each will be mutually perpendicular to other. Each will be mutually perpendicular to other. Means this thumbnail will be perpendicular to this forefinger as well as the middle finger. And this forefinger will be, must be perpendicular to thumbnail and middle finger. And this middle finger must be perpendicular to both forefinger as well as the thumbnail here. Okay. Just to stretch out the fingers, that is thumbnail, forefinger and middle finger, each will be mutually perpendicular to others. Okay. So then the thumbnail will be indicate the direction of the motion. The thumbnail will be indicate the direction of the motion. So this will be Fleming's right hand rule. Okay. Fleming's right hand rule. We can find out the direction of EMF in case of the generator is Fleming's right hand rule we are going to using here. Okay, just to stretch out the 3 fingers named as thumbnail, forefinger and middle finger, each will be mutually perpendicular to other here. Okay, so thumb will be mutually perpendicular to forefinger and middle finger, and forefinger mutually perpendicular to thumbnail and middle finger, and middle finger will be perpendicular to both thumbnail and forefinger here. So then the thumbnail will be indicate the direction of motion, and this forefinger will be indicate the direction of the flux. Direction of the flux, and this middle finger will be indicate the direction of EMF and hence current. And hence current here. Okay. So these 3 fingers, this thumbnail will be indicate the direction of motion, and this will be indicate the flux, magnetic flux direction, and this will be indicate the direction of EMF or and hence current here. Okay. So according to this Fleming right hand rule, we are going to finding the direction of EMF here. Okay. This you stretch out the 3 fingers, forefinger, middle finger and thumbnail, each will be mutually perpendicular to other. Okay. So then this motion, this will be, thumbnail will be indicate the direction of motion, this one will be indicate the direction of the flux, and this will be indicate the direction of EMF and hence current. Okay. Thank you very much for watching.